Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Digital Inclusion in Land Administration. And this episode is about advancing digital inclusion in land administration with a specific focus on South Africa. And on this episode, we'll explore the current status of digital inclusion in land administration in South Africa, including the challenges and opportunities that exist. And we will also examine the subtle nuances of digital inclusion concerns when it comes to land administration, and discuss the importance of finding practical solutions in order to achieve greater digital inclusion. And by the end of this episode, you'll have gained valuable insight to digital inclusion and land management in South Africa, and the ways in which we can balance nuance and practicality in this field. And as a society, as the society continues to embrace the digital realm and migrate many essential processes to it, the concerns of digital inclusion becomes increasingly important. And this is particularly true in the field of land administration in South Africa, where existing disparities in wealth, education, and access to technology frequently exacerbate prevailing issues. And for planners in South Africa to adopt digital tools and methods, they need to prioritize both nuance and practicality while addressing these fundamental concerns. And so, looking at the current status quo of digital inclusion in South African land administration, land administration, the process is related to the allocation and transfer and management of land and the property rights is particularly significant in South Africa, where the complexities of land tenure, historical injustices, and rapid urbanizations have led to a fraught dichotomy. And consequently, the need for digital inclusion within this context becomes even more salient. And however, the current state of affairs does not reflect this need. Existing barriers to digital inclusion in land administration are multifaceted, encompassing infrastructural, social, economic, and political obstacles. And South Africa has an extensive digital divide characterized by unequal access to information and communication technologies, ICTs, and resultant inequalities in digital literacy, particularly in rural areas. And additionally, the high costs, limited connectivity, and the lack of digital infrastructure hinder the widespread dissemination of digital land administration services. And as we navigate the nuance, let's try and understand the subclass of digital inclusion concerns. And so, to maximize the positive impact of digital inclusion initiatives, planners must be aware of the myriad interconnected issues that contribute to existing digital divide. And for instance, the relevance of digital land administration content, including language, context, and the cultural appropriateness, can have a significant implication for the user engagement and success. And so similarly, understanding the distinction or the distinct characteristics, behaviors, and preference of the target population requires a tailored approach that goes beyond one-size-fits-all solutions. Nuance must be a central consideration for planners, as any effective intervention strategy will require the ability to understand and interpret the unique needs and circumstances of affected individuals and communities. And so as we look to the practicality in digital inclusion, let's pull a focus on attainable solutions for planners. And while recognizing the significant nuance or the significance of nuance, planners must simultaneously implement practical solutions to address the pertinent issues associated with digital inclusion. And the pragmatic approach will likely involve multi-phase strategy that can make a tangible difference in the lives of South Africans. And so these may include the development of digital infrastructure, investments in this digital infrastructure, such as improved broadband internet and mobile networks coverage. And number two would be fostering digital literacy to ensure meaningful engagement with digital resources. This is something planners need to work on also, and bridging the gaps through public-private partnerships. So this is collaboration between the government and private sector, which can bring about mutually beneficial outcomes, with public entities providing policy support and regulation, and the private entities contributing innovation, expertise, and funding. And number four would be the context special solution. So this is where planners need to create and implement digital solutions specifically designed to address the unique challenges faced by South Africans. And lastly, it's the policy frameworks for digital inclusion. So this is the development of a comprehensive policy frameworks, which is crucial to enforcing digital inclusion standards and promotes more coordinated and focused response to potentially complex and interrelated issues. And so overall, the digital inclusion in land administration offers numerous potential benefits for South African society, and from increased transparency to efficiency and to the empowerment of marginalized communities. However, in order to capitalize on these advantages, planners must strike a delicate balance between understanding the nuance and adopting pragmatic solutions. And by embracing the requisite complexity in addressing the digital divide, planners can ensure that they are making the most effective and use of digital tools and methodologies to improve the lives of the South Africans, forging a more and equitable future for all. And thank you for listening. That is all for today's episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.